how can we it can help you, work with the people. And I've spent many years working with people as a teacher and a counselor, and I feel that education happens when we start to ask questions, because when we ask questions, we can begin to learn. And another thing that helps education is the teachers, the professors, Yao and the teachers. They're very important, but sometimes, or a lot of times, the teachers are not really good, and they don't really help the students learn as much as they can, because they're just like, they're teaching out of the book, which is okay. I mean, as long as the books are okay. But then there are some problems when the books start to get outdated, and then it happens over time. We always have to update the books. We need to update our knowledge, our information, and we need to stay up to date. We need to keep track of what is happening now with science and history and medicine and technology and all the different things that you may study, because there are new discoveries every day with all those different things, the different fields of study, and we need to stay up to date with those things. But the teachers, sometimes they tend not to be up to date, so they tell you things that were okay in the past, but now they're kind of not up to date. They're kind of not up to date. It's kind of sad. And also another thing that isn't so good is when the teacher is above you, like a little too much. When there's a distance between the student and the teacher, where the teacher is up, elevated high up, in the classroom, and you have to look up to the teacher, and the teacher looks down at you and tells you exactly what to do. And that is a very traditional way of learning, and it's been that way for a really, really long time. But it may not be the best way to learn, and I feel that it's really not the best way to learn. My favorite kinds of teachers were the ones that would come down to my level and look at me and look to me, eye to eye. They can look me in the eye, and they can, talk to me like a friend, and that's very important. Some of my favorite teachers in the past, like my mother and Fish Warren and a bunch of other people, they were people that would talk to me like a friend, like a family member. They were like a best friend in a way, and they would really talk to me like a buddy, being like buddy with them. And that's very important, because it opens up the students' mind. It opens up their hearts, their spirits, their souls, and it helps them learn, because then the students become more comfortable with learning, and they get to the point where they feel like they can ask any question. It's okay to make mistakes. They don't have to be perfect, and they can start doing things, start asking questions, and then the brain starts going faster than before, and they'll start to pick up things, and they'll start to have more fun. And you tend to learn a little bit more when you're having fun, and it's a little better when you're having fun, and the world is so much better when you're having fun. so much better when you're having fun, and you tend to remember things more when you're having fun, especially when you're playing games, activities, sports, all those kinds of things. It's so much more refreshing. So if we want to make the world a better place, it starts with you, it starts with me. We can't really make other people change. We have to start with ourselves, and then maybe they'll see it and they'll want to, follow us. Some of the best teachers in the world lead by example. They're not just going to tell you what to do, but they're also going to do it. Some of those guys includes Michael Jordan, where You know, he's not just a coach. He's not just a guy who sits on the sideline to tell you what to do. He will also do it. He'll say, you know, do it like this. And he makes a basket and he does it just like that. And then you try to copy him, you try to imitate him, and it's a lot better like that. And that's how we learn. We learn by following. And we learn by asking questions. And we learn when we're having fun and with our friends and with our family. It's important to be serious, and learning can be serious, and it's good when it's serious. But it's also bad if it's always serious and if it has to be serious, because somehow that just like closes some barriers, that closes our hearts and our minds, and it kind of turns us off. It doesn't really help us. And it's kind of sad like that. A little sad. It just like it detars us. How do I say it derails us. It destroys our mind just a little bit. But over time, it destroys us a little bit more and a little bit more, and we become less intuitive. We ask less questions, especially if we're taught not to ask questions, and we're just taught just to do as the authorities tell us to do, whatever that the parents and teachers and government and police tells us to do. And it's okay, and it's really good to follow instructions, except when they violate certain eternal principles that we should follow in our lives. Because there are certain principles, certain things that are true throughout eternity, universally. That means everywhere. There are certain things that are true, like love, for example. L-O-V-E, love. Love is very powerful and very important, and love is good. The purest kind of unconditional love is the best, and is always good, eternally, forever, universally. No matter who you are or where you live. It's very important. Let's go and make the world a better place. We can make the world a better place one person at a time. Education is very important. And another thing that helps education is you as a student. We're all students, and we should be life learners. We should all be life learners. We should never stop learning, and that is one thing that helps education. Another thing that helps education is the parents. So as you grow up, you may be a parent or an uncle or an aunt. You may be a friend of some people that have children, and you can inspire those kids, those children. You can inspire the next generation, and because a lot of learning happens at the home, and not just at school, and not just other places, but a lot of learning does happen at home, especially the first few years of our lives will happen at home, unless if we don't really have a home. But in a way, we all have a home in some way or another, and it's very important to learn as much as we can, as soon as we can, because as we get older, we tend to struggle with learning, and learning becomes a little harder. We can still learn, and I'm not trying to make excuses or reasons why we can't learn when we get older. I'm just saying that traditionally speaking and historically speaking, it just tends to be harder to learn different things like different languages or other things as you get older. Like, for example, in Star Wars, those masters, those ninjas, those, Jedi masters, they were thinking that Anakin Skywalker was too old, and he was 9 years old. He was too old to learn the ways of the Force. He was too old to become a fighter, to become a ninja, to become a master of the Star Wars universe of how to fight and be the leaders that they're supposed to be. And they're supposed to start learning and training from an early age, from about 2 years old. But Anakin Skywalker was like 9 years old, and they were thinking that he's too old because, you know, it becomes harder as you get older. And then, you know, Anakin Skywalker became Darth Vader later, but then his son was about 20 years old later on in the story. And again, they said, oh, his son is too old. Luke Skywalker is too old. That's what Obi-Wan Kenobi kind of thought, and also Yoda. They all thought that maybe Luke was too old because he was like 20 years old, and his father was 9 years old when they started learning about the ways of the Force to become a fighter. But then, you know, actually, it wasn't too late. So it's never too late to learn. You should try to learn as soon as possible, as young as possible, but it's never too late. It's never too late. Like, for example, my mother went back to college when she was in her 50s, and she was like about 53 years old. And I've heard stories about other people, and they would go back to school too, and they're like 70 years old, or 80 years old maybe. And so sometimes those things happen, and so it's never too late. Like Justin Bieber always says, never say never, never say never, never say never, never say never in the back of the heart, back of the cheek, never say never. Thank you for watching.